Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now today we will build a small application where we will use Retrofit to retrieve some information from the backend. And I want to quickly show you what the application that we're going to be building is going to look like. So it's going to be something like this. It's just going to display a list of flags of different countries, okay, that we will be retrieving from a backend API. All right, so now that we have that in mind, let's go ahead and start our project. But before we do, I want to just give you a quick notice that at the end of the video, I will give you some links to where you can find more information about the topics that we discussed, because what we're going to implement here is just simply the absolute basics of Retrofit. Okay, I'm going to be talking a little bit about it, but I'm not going to go into too much detail. If you want more information, have a look down below in the description box, or you can go through till the end of the video and I will talk a bit about that then. All right, so let's go ahead in Android Studio and create a new project. I'm going to use an empty activity, and you can name your project whatever you like. I'm going to be naming it something like Retrofit example, whatever you want to name it, and then finish. All right, so that's going to be building. That is just a very basic, simple application. Okay, so let's go ahead and put Retrofit in our application. So first of all, I'm going to hit double shift. Okay, so type double shift. And I'm going to say build.gradle. Now, of course, you have two build.gradle files. You're going to choose the app version. Okay, and here is where we add all our dependencies. Okay, all the libraries that we will be using in our project. For us, it's simply going to be Retrofit. Okay, so I'm going to say here implementation. And that's going to be com.squareup.retrofit2 retrofit 2.3.0. So I'm going to be using the version 2.3.0. There's probably more or let's say newer versions, but since we're using the basics, the foundation here, then you are safe with 2.3.0. Okay, and after that, we're going to also say implementation. And same com.squareup.retrofit2 and here we're going to have a converter. So converter-json 2.3.0. Okay, so these I didn't really make them up. I don't remember them by heart. Obviously, you can find them online if you search for it, but it's easier to just type them out like that. Let's go ahead and sync now. If you get any errors, that means you simply made a mistake while typing this. Otherwise, we are good to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and start to create our Retrofit implementation. First of all, I'm going to create a new package here, and I'm going to call this model. Now, this is obviously going to be part of a model view model or MVVM architecture. In this particular video, I'm not going to go into details about that, but I do like to put Retrofit inside its own package, and why not name it model, because it does fit our purpose. So let's go ahead and create a new Kotlin class, and I'm going to call this country. Okay, so now this is going to be the country, the object that we retrieve from the backend. Okay, so this is going to be a data class country. Okay, and here we have what we call an annotation. Okay, that's going to be serialized name. Now the serialized name is going to correspond to the API name that we get here. Okay, so here we will retrieve the name of the country, and we will put it in a variable val country name. That's going to be of type string with a question mark, because it might be null. Okay, so the country name variable will receive the information called name on the API response. Okay, so we have the name, and we also would need the flag. Okay, so we have an @serialized name, and here we will have flag PNG. Okay, capital letters here, because that's how the API returns this value. And then we're going to have val flag is also a nullable string. Okay, so we are done with the country. This is the object that will store the data that we retrieve from the backend. Okay, now let's go ahead and create a new Kotlin file. And this time it's going to be countries API. And it's going to be an interface. Okay, so the countries API will basically tell us which methods we want to call on the backend API. Okay, so here we have a get method, which is, you can see, part of Retrofit. Okay, we need to specify the endpoint. Now the endpoint is going to be something fixed because I already have an API available online that we can use. Okay, so we are going to call that one. So you do need to type this exactly as I type it, otherwise you might get an error. Okay, so this is going to be dev tides. By the way, I will put the link to the API down below in the description if you want to copy and paste this from there. But this part is going to be just the endpoint. Okay, so we will see shortly how we put the base URL there. Okay, so dev tides / countries / master / countries v2.json. Okay, so this is the endpoint. It is what it is. It's a bit, quite long, but it is what it is. So this is going to be a function get countries. Okay, that will return us a call. Now keep in mind this needs to be retrofit. Okay, and we have a generic type. So what will the API return us? It will return us a list of country. Okay, so that is the method that we will be calling on our API, on our endpoint. Okay, that's good. Now let's go ahead and create a third class for Retrofit, and that's going to be the countries service. Now the service is going to provide us with the entry point to actually call the API that we defined earlier. Okay, so here we will say class country service. Okay, so we will have a private val base val not cal base _ URL, and that is going to be https /raw.github user content. Okay, githubusercontent.com. Again, you can find this down below in the description box. All right, now we're going to define a private val API. Okay, so this is the API that we're going to call to retrieve that information. Okay, so this is going to be retrofit.builder. Okay, now we're going to give it the base URL, which we defined earlier. We're also going to give it an add converter factory. Okay, so that we are able to convert the response that we get from the API into the object country that we've defined previously. We're not going to do that by hand. We have JSON for that, so we're going to use it. So we have JSON converter factory dot create. Okay, so easy enough. JSON will do all the heavy lifting for us. Then we simply need to call build and dot create. And here is where we need to pass the interface that we want to define. Okay, so we're going to say countries API :class.java. Okay, so there we go. We have an API. Now, of course, we want to have a function to access this API. Okay, so here I have a fun get countries that will give us a that will simply return us API.getCountries. Okay, so we are calling with this function, we are calling the get countries that we've defined here, and it's going to return us a call to a list of countries. Now, why do we have a call here? Well, it's because the retrofit call will be done asynchronously. Okay, it will be done on a background thread. So we need an object to be able to retrieve that result later on, and we will see shortly how we do that. All right, so we have everything we need for retrofit. Now, all we need to do is we need in main activity here, we need to actually call the backend API. Now, keep in mind that I'm not respecting here any architecture, so MVVM is not in place here. Okay, I'm not going to spend time on that. I want to focus on retrofit. If you want more information about that, check out down below in the description box for more info. Okay, so there we go. Now let's go ahead and start to create our country service. So countries service, we create an object dot get countries, obviously, and here is where we do the call. So we have this method in queue. Okay, and this method will give us, or we provide it, a callback. Okay, the object that will be called when the response comes in from the backend. Okay, so I'm going to create an object from that callback. Now, keep in mind, this needs to be the callback for retrofit. So you do need to find it in this list. It is here for me. There we go. So let me make sure that it was the right one imported. There we go. That's correct. Okay, so we have the callback that will give us a list of country. Okay, so we need to implement two methods. Okay, so here we obviously have on failure and on response. So this is if in case something wrong happens, this will give us the result here in the response object. Okay, so first of all, if we fail, okay, I want to simply display a message. So let's have a look here. We have a text view. Let's give it an ID. Okay, so here we have result, let's say. Name here doesn't matter because the project is very simple. So I'm going to say result.text is going to be failure. Okay, and if I get the response, I get result.text equals, let's say, received. Now let's count the elements that we received. So we're going to get response.body.size. Okay, so that's going to give us the size of the response. Now this obviously can be null, so we need to mark it as such. Received whatever number results. Okay, so running that should give us a result on that. Now I'm going to run this, and this is going to fail. Okay, so it's going to crash on installation, and I want you to guess why. Okay, let's go ahead and run it. It's nothing to do with Retrofit itself. It's something that we didn't yet do in our project. So try to guess why, and then once that runs and crashes, we will go back to Android Studio and fix the problem. All right, so there we go. Our application has crashed. Now, if we have a look in the run, we will see exactly why it crashed. Okay, so here we can see permission denied, missing internet permission. So obviously, if we're using Retrofit, if we're calling some backend endpoint, we need access to the internet. Luckily, that is very simple to provide. Double shift to open or to search everywhere. Okay, and I'm going to say Android manifest.xml. Opening this file, we need to add a permission here. Okay, so uses dash permission, and here we have internet. Okay, android.permission.internet, and don't forget to close that. So now if we run this, this should work just fine. Let's go ahead and wait for it to build. Okay, it has built. Now we're waiting for a result here. There we go, received 250 results. So there are 250 countries that are provided from the backend API. So basically, this is how you would use Retrofit. You can see how simple it is, right? You have the type of object that you want to receive, okay? That is based on the API, obviously. So you need to know what the structure of the API is so that you can get the information in this way. Then we define the method that we want. Obviously, Retrofit has multiple methods that it has get, post, delete, and so on. You provide the endpoint, okay? You provide what the API returns you, and then you simply build your Retrofit using the builder pattern, okay? Using the base URL here, and then simply call it, okay? And then you will get a asynchronous response, either success or failure. Okay, so easy enough. But I want to extend this slightly because I don't really like text so much in my applications. I want to have some images. Okay, so in order to have some images, obviously we need to load some images. So first of all, I'm going to add the glide library to my dependencies. So double shift build.gradle app. Okay, and down below here, I'm going to say implementation. I forgot something, implementation, if I type correctly. There we go. So that's going to be com.github.bumptech. Obviously, this you can find online as well. .glide, glide, I think it's 4.8.0. Okay, so sync that, make sure there's no errors, If you don't get any errors here, then you type that correctly. For me, that should be fine. Okay, so moving back to main activity. Now, if we want to display a list of countries, first thing I want to do is in my activity main XML, I want to replace this constraint layout with a linear layout with a orientation vertical so that I can easily create and add views to this layout. Okay, so down below here, I'm going to create a function. Let's call this, I'm going to make it private because it doesn't need to be shared with anyone. And we're going to say display countries. And this will receive a list of countries. So let's say result, it's going to be a list of country. Okay, easy enough. So now let's go ahead and say for country in result. Okay, so for each country, I want to create a view and add it to my layout. Now, of course, my layout needs to have an ID so that I can access it. So let's give it an ID, list layout. The ID doesn't really matter what the name is, but it just needs to be something. Okay, so here we're going to say val view is going to be a new image view. Okay, then I'm going to use glide to load the images. Okay, glide dot, I need to import that. So option return on my Mac, alt enter if you're on a PC, glide dot width. Here I need to pass this as the context. I need to load. So here, let me just import the image view as well. Oh no, what do I need? I need a, I need this for the context. Okay, so image view. Now I need to load. So where do I get the flag? Of course, we have it in country. So I'm going to say country dot flag. Okay, and then I'm going to say into the view that I've just created. Okay, so I have a complete view now with the image. Okay, and all I need to do is I need to add it to my list. Okay, so I'm going to say, what did I call the activity main? List layout. Okay, list layout dot add view view. Okay, so I have the function. Now I need to actually call it. So instead of that, when I get a response, I'm going to hide the result. So result dot visibility is going to be view dot gone. Okay, so I need to hide that because it's not good to have it there. Okay, and I need to simply display countries, and I'm going to pass the response dot body. Okay, what is the problem? Okay, so this is quite interesting because Kotlin forces us to handle the null case. Okay, so this is an excellent point for Kotlin. Okay, so this can be null. So that means here we need to be able to handle null situations. Okay, so that forces us to manage that part. Okay, so I'm going to say result question mark dot let. Okay, so if that is not null, then we will do this for loop. Okay, and instead of result here, I can simply call it because it refers to whatever was here. Okay, so that should be fine. Visibility gone, display countries. Let's go ahead and run it and see what the outcome is. So normally this should display a list of countries for us, okay? But I think there might be an issue here, and we will see shortly what that issue might be. Okay, so the app has started. Now we are waiting for the response from the backend API, and then we receive that, and then here we have our countries. Now, here is the problem. We cannot scroll, okay? We can only see this screen. So let's go ahead and fix that. I think it also crashed because it's trying to load too many images at once. So we're going to fix that problem as well. We're going to limit the number of images. But first of all, we want to be able to scroll. So to do that, we're going to have another type of layout here, and that's going to be scroll view. Okay, we need to move the XML namespace up here. Okay, then encase everything in the scroll view. Okay, and of course, since it's a view, it needs width and height. So I'm going to add those two here. and I'm going to format, so Command Option L or Control Alt L, I think it's on a PC, to arrange this nicely in Page. Okay, so we have our scroll view, so we should be able to scroll, but now I want to also limit a bit the number of countries, the flags that we display. Okay, I don't want everything to be displayed at once. So here, instead of passing all the body, I'm going to say dot sublist from 0 to, let's say how many we want. We want 20 images to be displayed. Okay, so we're going to limit the list at that. Let's go ahead and run our application again, and let's see the result. Now we should be able to not only scroll, but not crash the app as well. Okay, so we should be able to see some nice functionality. There we go. So we have our countries loaded. We can scroll through them, and everything looks really good. Okay, so that is basically how you would implement Retrofit. Now, we didn't necessarily need to add that scroll view, but I do like it when our apps look nicer as well. Okay, so that's all for this video. That is how you would use Retrofit, how you would implement it in an application. If you want more information about Retrofit, because obviously here we have simply scratched the surface of what you can do with Retrofit. There is a lot more. And for that purpose, I have created a course that will give you a lot of information and a lot more detail than I can give you on a let's say 20-minute YouTube video. Okay, so if you're interested in that, have a look down below, click on the link and check out that course. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate you coming to my channel. Please give it a like and subscribe. That really helps my channel grow and reach more people. And then I will see you next time with another video.